Hello my friends, and welcome back to Slay the Spire 2. Hope you're all doing well. Today I want to show you how to win with the Defect, which I think is the most complicated character in Slay the Spire 2. Not only does the order of your cards matter a lot, what cards you add to your deck is also a more complicated decision for the Defect than for any other character, because you'll rarely end up solidly in one specific archetype. So, today I'm going to walk you through an Ascension 10 run and show you how to think about this class so you can win with it consistently. Let's take a look at our options here. So, for this Niao buff, we have Arcane Scroll. I think that this is a little weaker for the Defect than for other characters. You have a few rare cards that are pretty bad to get early on. It can still be obviously very powerful if you get really strong rare cards, but I think that the Defect uses Arcane Scroll a little worse than most other characters. Small Capsule is always solid. A random relic can of course be very good. There's a lot of variance to this because you can get some pretty weak relics as well. And Greed I like a lot if we have the potential to take multiple shops relatively early. So this is actually looking like a pretty good Greed path because we can get this shop and then we can take one of these shops. For example, if I take a path that looks something like this, we could also take one more fight and get one more elite if we're feeling pretty strong. And then we could do this. This looks like a really clean Act 1 path, where we get to take multiple shops using the bonus money from Greed. If we spend it all in the first shop, then it's also not that big a deal as well. We can just not take that path. So let's go ahead and take the Cursed Pearl here and go on to our first fight. As always, when choosing your path, your goal is going to be to minimize the number of hallway fights that you have to take. In particular, you want to delay your fourth hallway fight as long as possible, because after the first 3 in Act 1, they start coming from a harder pool of enemies, which you can often take a ton of damage against. Here I'm just going to go Zap, Defend, Strike. Dual Cast is often correct to play over Strike early on, but in this spot, I think that this fight will go long enough that we'll get more damage from having the orb. We're very likely to take damage in the first fight because I have Greed in the deck, and one curse makes your deck so much worse in the early game because it represents a pretty significant fraction of your total deck size when you have a curse in your deck early on. Alright, so here we could take Storm. Storm doesn't do anything right now, but it is one of the most powerful archetypes for the Defect, the Storm deck, based around playing a lot of powers and channeling a ton of lightning. The fact that it doesn't do anything right now, and we already have Greed in the deck, makes me a little less inclined to pick up Storm here. So I think instead we're going to take Shadow Shield. I like Beam Cell quite a bit as well. It applies to Vulnerable when upgraded, which is really powerful, but Shadow Shield I think is a premium card for the Defect. Getting enough block can be difficult, and channeling Dark Orbs is really strong, especially for elite fights, which, given that we are going to spend a lot of money in this first shop, probably, I hope to be strong enough to take a bunch of elite fights during the early stages of this run. Okay, so I do think that Rolling Boulder is actually excellent on the Defect. You can build around just a bunch of ice orbs in order to provide block, and then Rolling Boulder can provide all of the damage that you need. We're going to start by removing a strike. I'm always doing that because I took Greed, and you really need to remove dead cards when you've added an extra curse to the deck. And then I'm considering what else I want. There's a lot of good cards in this shop. Sunder can be pretty good in Act 1. We may not need it if I take a card like because we have Shadow Shield, but it does prevent a lot of early Act 1 damage to have Sunder in the deck, because it's essentially free for most of Act 1. You'll usually be able to kill an enemy with it. But I think that this is going to be a good deck for Rolling Boulder. I'm going to take Finesse as well, because this is effectively free. Having Finesse in the deck will always just be an excellent card to add. It will give us extra block every cycle through the deck, which is exactly what the Defect is looking for. And then the last card that we're picking here, I think, is pretty interesting. So I could take Charge Battery. I can't take Shadow Shield and another card, but I can see a pretty good argument for any of these. Go for the Eyes is one of the Defect's best cards. When upgraded, it applies 2 turns of weakness, making it very similar to Neutralize from the Silent, which is one of the top 5 or so cards in the game. Charge Battery is very good. You need extra energy generation on this character. It can help us set up for a good Rolling Boulder turn where we can play it without losing too much. But I think I'm going to take Sunder. I think that this deck needs early game damage more, and we don't have any card that really helps in the early game, but we do have a really strong scaling option in the form of Rolling Boulder. Let's go to our event. Being able to remove another card would make the Greed even less impactful, because I could remove another strike. We, of course, can't remove Greed because it's eternal. Or I could upgrade 2 random cards. There are a lot of good upgrades for us already in this deck, and upgrading cards early is often upgrading 2 cards, I think, is about as impactful as removing 1 card when you can do it early, because you can hit a lot of, like, strike and defend upgrades are not terrible at this point in the game. And if we get to upgrade Zap, Dual Cast, Rolling Boulder is an incredible upgrade. Sunder is a very good upgrade. It just makes your early game much stronger. So I think we're going to take the Light Door here. Upgrading Zap is great. That removes 1 energy that we have to spend per cycle, and we just get to play Zap every time. Upgrade Finesse is great as well. A good heuristic for upgrading cards is, do you play it every time you draw it? And of course you do with Finesse, so having it upgraded just means more value. I don't really need more maximum health from the Abyssal Baths, so we're just going to heal for 10, and that's great because it means that even though we took damage in our first fight, we now have a lot of health. And given that I have a lot of health, I'm inclined to maybe take 1 more hallway fight. So we've only taken 1 right now. So this is an easy mode fight, and then we're going to go up this way, and it looks like we won't be taking any other hallway fights, maybe this one. We'll be taking this one. So we're only taking 2 more hallway fights, even if I take this one. And that means we'll get to fight only enemies from the easier pool and get the card rewards from that. So we're going to take a fight over an event here. Because we have a relatively easy path, we have the luxury of doing that. Here, unfortunately, Sunder doesn't kill this turn, but we can at least block all the incoming damage and we can play our strikes. And then 7 incoming damage. Obviously, Rolling Boulder is not going to be massive in this fight, but is it better to set it up than just play 2 strikes? I guess I will. I think 2 strikes is probably better there, but playing Rolling Boulder is just fun. And then we can just win the fight here. Alright, another few pretty powerful options for us. Extra Focus is one of the most powerful things for the Defect, and so Hotfix is a card I value quite heavily. Beam Cell works very well with Sunder to guarantee that we can actually kill stuff with the Sunder. And Lightning Rod works well with our Zap and with our Shadow Shield in order to actually activate those orbs. So again, a set of 3 cards, all of which I'd be pretty happy to have in the deck. In this spot, I'm going to take the Hotfix. I think that having at least 1 of those in the deck is always going to be very important. And we're looking for ice generation at some point, which in order to make our Rolling Boulder as strong as possible, because we can just sit behind Rolling Boulder, generate ice, and win fights that way. Here, I'm going to play the Zap and then the Shadow Shield. Usually you want your Dark Orb further to the left, because it'll have more time to charge up. And then I guess we can just use our Hotfix, and I'll play a strike here. Obviously, we can't do more than a certain amount of damage to this enemy per turn, but being able to at least do the 15 every turn is pretty important. I could Sunder for 15 damage, but let's just go ahead and play a strike here, and then we've done at least 12. And then this turn, do I take 11 to get Rolling Boulder set up, or do I just play 2 defends? I I think we win the fight faster if I get Rolling Boulder set up, so I am going to take the 11 here. It's expensive, of course, but making sure that we have the damage output from that is going to be pretty important. And then we can continue to just block. We'll take it'll be not the easiest Skulking Colony fight, but it's very rare that you don't take damage against this enemy, so as long as we can take a minimal amount of damage, I'm pretty happy. Just need to last 2 more turns here. Now, unfortunately, we did get a fairly rough draw here, where I am going to take another pretty big hit. But there we go. That's the fight done. Game piece, very good for the Defect, of course. This character wants to play a lot of powers pretty frequently. Now, it's less powerful in this version of the Defect deck, because I don't think we're going to be going all in on powers here. But, oh man, 2 more really strong cards that I want very badly. Glacier is extremely important for setting up Frost Orbs. We have no Frost generation currently, so I definitely want that. Overclock is one of the Defect's top 3 cards. Drawing 2 for 0 and putting a burn in your deck is is great. Putting a burn in your deck is not that big a deal because you have a lot of ways to remove status effects from the deck or use them to your advantage. That being said, I think we need to take Glacier here. This character needs Frost generation, and so we basically are forced to pick up the Glacier in this spot. Always, when you are trying to decide which cards to take, solve the problem that your deck has in the short term, the immediate problem that you have. Because if you die in the next encounter, then obviously it doesn't matter how strong your deck's going to be in the end game. Here, I am going to go to the left, and I'm going to rest. I would love to be able to upgrade, but I did take too much damage in that last fight to be able to afford to upgrade here. And then hopefully we can upgrade something at least one of these campsites. Although this is also a fairly tough elite for us. But I can go Finesse and Glacier, and then play a Defend. Or I can do a Strike and take 1. Let's just play the Defend. And then this turn, I think it is a good idea to set up Rolling Boulder, and we'll take a little bit of damage, but I can play Zap, and I can play Hotfix for more block. Or, obviously, I should have played the Hotfix first. That was terrible. Oh well. So I gave up a little bit of damage there by having my cards in the wrong order. I'm going to play Shadow Shield for sure, and I could dual cast the Frost Orb for 10 more block. I could also just play a Defend, and then we keep the Frost Orb. I think we're going to keep the Frost Orb here, and we'll take 1. This turn, I can play Glacier, and then we have enough blocks, so we just get away with playing a Strike. And now, if I have 12 damage, which we do because we have the Dark Orb, let's play the Finesse, and I'll play Zap first, stunning the enemy. We can set up Shadow Shield as well, so we can start channeling another Dark Orb and upgrading that. And then here, unfortunately, I don't have any way to cycle through orbs, and we drew dual cast. I would love to dual cast Lightning or Dark, but in this spot, we're just going to have to hope that we draw 6 damage in this next hand, which we should, and then we take much less damage from the Terror Eel, because we killed it before it got to attack after we stunned it. And Rolling Boulder continuing to do phenomenal work. A skill potion is a great find. We haven't found any potions yet in this run, so that's part of why we've been taking a little bit of extra damage. And then here, I don't mind Scavenge, being able to exhaust bad cards from the deck. Things like Strikes, obviously we can exhaust Greed, is pretty nice as well. The fact that it gives you the energy next turn is definitely a challenge for making this card usable. Beam Cell is also, as I mentioned, very good with Sunder, which has been quite poor so far in this run, by the way. Sunder is at its best when you're taking a lot of hallway fights. It's worse against elites. So maybe it was the wrong purchase at the first shop. Something to consider here. I'm between taking Beam Cell and Scavenge, and in this spot, I think we'll take Scavenge. We have a Greed and a bunch of strikes that I still want to remove. The extra energy generation is pretty good for setting up for making sure we can play Rolling Boulder. Ice Cream is also pretty good for that. And then I'm going to go to this campsite. Yeah, I can get away with upgrading here, and we're going to upgrade Rolling Boulder. You really want to get this upgraded because it just increases the damage every single turn. And then we're going to go take one more hallway fight, and this again is an easy mode hallway fight. Now here I am just short of being able to kill one of these enemies with Sunder. So, Sunder, again, not looking very good in this spot. I might actually need to use my skill potion to avoid taking damage here. Now, I could play Sunder on the Corpse Slug, and then we get a 50-50 of the Lightning Orb stunning it. If that doesn't work out, I take a bunch of damage. I think I am going to use the skill potion. So, I could take 15 if I miss on the 50-50. Also, it means that this Corpse Slug would be attacking Strengthened as well. I think I'm going to use the skill potion here, because taking 15 damage is so much. And then we can take Chill, because that's going to be more block. And I guess we will try for the 50-50 here. We'll play Chill to block at least 4 damage. Alright, we hit the 50-50, so we don't take a hit this turn. Now it's attacking for 16, but we drew into more blocking cards. And then I can play Hotfix, and I can play Glacier, and we'll not play the Defend, because we have Ice Cream. So we can maintain our energy for next turn. And then here we can play Strike, Strike, Strike. So the skill potion didn't end up being super valuable in this fight, but if we had missed on that 50-50, we'd have definitely wanted it. In this spot, I think we're just going to skip here. Bulk Up is okay. I don't mind that as a power. And we do have a game piece. Removing an orb slot means that our Glacier is a lot worse, our Shadow Shield is a lot worse, because you just need to stack up a bunch of those. But on the other hand, 2 Dexterity is pretty powerful. We already have a bunch of blocking cards. The Strength is a lot less useful, but let's take the Bulk Up here. I think that that's fine. And then I'm going to go to this campsite. And I think we can get away with another upgrade. So we could upgrade Bulk Up to be 3-3, which is really good. We can upgrade Glacier, which makes it a lot more playable. We can upgrade Hotfix. We could upgrade Sunder so that it's a little more playable as well. Shadow Shield is pretty nice. I think of our options, Bulk Up is going to be the best upgrade here. Just making sure that when we play it, it's as impactful as possible is going to be pretty important. And then I'm going to go to this fight because I want to go to this shop, and I do want to take one more elite fight. Alright, well, we got the explosive M-Pool against the Phantasmal Gardeners. That's really nice. So we're going to use that. That'll save us a bunch of health. This is the only encounter where that potion is good, so kind of lucky to draw it there. We'll play Finesse because it's a 0-cost block, and we'll play Rolling Boulder. And we should have a pretty clean Phantasmal Gardener fight because of the cards that we have in our deck currently. I'm always going to be playing Zap, and I could play Bulk Up, and then a Defend, that's 8 block. I could play Dual Cast, and there's a good chance that the Dual Cast kills one of the enemies this turn. On the other hand, the Rolling Boulder is just killing everything next turn anyways, so let's just maximize our defenses. Take the smallest amount of damage possible, and then Rolling Boulder will end the fight at the beginning of next turn. Alongside the explosive M-Pool. 29 gold is a good amount. Now we have 150, so I can remove another card at the shop, which is great. The Focus Potion is incredible. This is one of the best potions for the Defect in general. Ideally, I probably won't even have to use it in the Soulfish encounter. We might be able to save it for next act. And Red Mask here, an excellent relic. This is one of my favorite relics because the Defect often wants to spend its first turn setting up powers. Red Mask means that you take a lot less damage from enemies that attack on the first turn. And as you get more ways to apply weakness to enemies, you can stack the first turn of weakness for longer. Here, I think this is a pretty clear Compact. Fight Through is also quite good, but Compact opens up things like the Overclock that we saw before and any other status generation cards. It also will get rid of... We're going into the Soulfish fight. It's going to put statuses in the deck, and Compact will get rid of those. So Compact is a top-tier pick for the Defect. It makes a lot of fights much easier. Here, I don't mind taking a Rocket Punch. We don't currently have any ways to create statuses, but Rocket Punch is, in general, very good. Leap is fine. This is one of the ways that this character can generate additional block, but I think that it's a pretty clear just remove strike here. We have Greed in the deck, so I'm highly incentivized to try to remove bad cards, and this is why we took Greed in the first place. We got to buy a bunch of extra cards. Here, I probably should take a safety rest. 35 health is enough that I can almost certainly fight the Soulfish, though. So maybe we can get away with upgrading a card. What would I upgrade if I did? Probably Hotfix. Or Glacier. Upgrade Compact is, you get the Fuel Plus, which draws 2 cards, which is very good as well. I think we can get away with upgrading here. I think we can be a little greedy, and I'll upgrade Hotfix. This character, of course, is going to want as much focus as possible, like every Defect build, so we're going to make sure that that doesn't go away. Tragic that we drew Compact on the first turn here. In fact, this is a very bad opening hand, but I guess I'll play the Sunder here. We didn't get to play Rolling Boulder. We have Compact, and so we're not going to be able to remove one of the beckons in this cycle. So, pretty rough opener there. But we can play Glacier, and that blocks enough damage, so I can just play the beckon here. And then this turn, I could scavenge a strike and play Bulk Up, or I can just get Rolling Boulder set up and we take 4 damage. I think taking 4 damage is fine. Getting Rolling Boulder set up is pretty important. Also, we drew into Ascender's Bane, which was the best draw. I guess Zap would have been fine as well, but either of those were excellent draws because then we removed the Ascender's Bane from the deck. Here, I'll start with Hotfix, and then I want my Glacier Orbs as far left as possible. I'd rather the Lightning Orbs be further to the right, so I'm going to play that first. Then I'll play Glacier. Then I'll play Beacon. I could have played a couple strikes there, but I like this more. Alright, so this turn I can play Scavenge on a Beacon. Get rid of one of them. And then I can either lose 6 HP... I guess we save more health by playing Shadow Shield. So I'm going to take 6 from the Beacon, but we also get to set up a Dark Orb. And then this turn, once again, we cannot play Compact on a Beacon, which is sad. I also did not draw my Bulk Up, which is even sadder. So I guess we're just saving our energy for the Ice Cream here. I also am going to constantly forget Ice Cream. This, of course, makes it more complicated to figure out what you're doing turn to turn, but Ice Cream is one of those cards that I'm always going to forget. Now, Bulk Up will eat the Dark Orb if I play it now, and I want to keep the Dark Orb, so I'm going to... Well, I'll start with Finesse. No, because I want to play Bulk Up first. So I'm going to start with Zap. Then I'm going to play Bulk Up, which will eat my Lightning Orb for no value. Then we'll play Finesse for 10 block. And then I can Scavenge the Beacon, get rid of that. And we'll play Shadow Shield, which is enough block and cycles through the Dark Orb. And then we're not going to play a Defend, because I want to keep energy for Ice Cream. And then this turn, let's go ahead and play a Glacier, which will trigger 2 Dark Orbs. I could also dual cast this Dark Orb, that's even better. So let's do that. We'll play Glacier, trigger another one, and then I can play Beckon, and I can play Strike. And again, we have enough block, and then Rolling Boulder ends the fight. So a very easy Soulfish fight. I probably messed up with the Ice Cream a couple times during that fight, and you're going to have to forgive me for forgetting about this relic pretty frequently throughout this run, probably, but we'll try to play correctly with it. All right. So here, Rainbow and Coolant are both significantly worse with Bulk Up in the deck. On the other hand, Coolant also cycles because we have Game Piece, and will at least give us like 2 block every turn. Adaptive Strike, I don't think we're that interested in this deck. We're planning to win just with Dark Orbs and Rolling Boulder. That's our main strategy. So I think we'll just take the Coolant here. It's not going to be a huge amount of value, but it'll work well if we do end up more in the Powers version of the deck. And it at least replaces itself with Game Piece. And then we're on to Act 2. And entering Act 2, let's take a quick look at the deck and see what we're really looking for. So right now, we have Bulk Up, and I do have Coolant and a few Orb Generation effects. These don't all go together, so I'm looking for a few ways to... I might be looking for a Capacitor in order to increase our number of Orb slots, or I'm looking for ways to use the Strength from Bulk Up, so we're less reliant on the effect that it makes a little bit harder to use. I'm also looking for things like Overclock to make the best use of our Compact, and more Frost Generation, because right now we only have Glacier, so I would love a Cool-Headed or a Chill, that kind of effect, because basically this deck wants to put up a bunch of block and then sit behind it while Rolling Boulder kills the enemies. So that's the type of thing that I'm on the lookout for in Act 2. Let's see what we get from the Ancient here. This one is pretty interesting. So I could give Clone to Rolling Boulder or Finesse. Being able to clone Finesse is pretty powerful because we could cycle through a bunch of 0-cost block over and over again. Cloning Rolling Boulder is kind of nice as well because getting 2 of them going will end fights really quickly, but we do have to spend the energy on them. So Pale's Growth, normally I don't think that this is an incredible bonus, but it's pretty interesting to put it on Finesse here. Pale's Horn, I am generally not a fan of. It is a little better because we have Ice Cream, and so we're guaranteed to be able to use the extra energy that you get on the subsequent turn, because even if we can't spend it, we can always save it. On the other hand, Pale's Blood, this is, I think, the best Ancient Relic in the game. Just drawing an extra card every turn, no questions asked, is so excellent, and so I think it is almost... there's no 100% in Slay the Spire, but I think like 99% of the time when I see this, I'm just going to take it. Alright, looking at our pathing. In Act 2 and 3, after the first 2 hallway fights, they start coming from the harder pool, so we're trying to avoid our 3rd hallway fight as long as possible. So I'm looking at this path, for example, and then we could go here, and then I could go this way. We get 1 hard mode hallway fight, but a couple shops. This has minimal campsites, which is a little bit worrying. I would definitely prefer more campsites. But other than that, this is looking like a pretty clean path through Act 2. And looking at the other paths, I don't think there's anything else that really stands out as better. So let's go along this left-hand side. Alright, so here I will start with Finesse. Sunder, continuing to be quite poor. I was expecting this to be better, but we're against the exoskeleton, so it doesn't kill anything. The enemies being weakened this turn, of course, gives me a little bit more leeway. I have enough block already. So I could play Asunder, I could scavenge something. I think I'm going to play Scavenge on probably just the Sunder. And then I'm going to play Shadow Shield. It we'll still get 2 extra energy next turn, and we set up a Dark Orb. So while the block is wasted, and I could have saved energy for Ice Cream, we played Scavenge, so we don't really need to. And then here, let's go Rolling Boulder, of course, and we'll play Defend and Defend to block as much damage as possible. Then we're going to take a pretty substantial hit this turn. Very little I can do about that. Let me start with Hotfix, and then I can play Bulk Up first, or I could just play Glacier in order to get some Frost Orbs, which I think is probably more important. And this gives me enough block here. I can go Glacier, and I'll play the Zap, which will trigger a Dark Orb, killing this enemy. Then we have 11 incoming damage, so I have enough block. So I can either set up Coolant or save my energy for next turn. Might as well just set up the Coolant. Though, it also doesn't matter because we just get to end the fight this turn anyways. I could even have done it with fewer animations by playing Strike. I forgot about the Zap Orb. Not that it matters. We'll take the Attack Potion, and what do I want from here? Focused Strike isn't bad. Gunk Up can work well with our Bulk Up, and works well with my Compact, because we can remove the slime and turn it into fuel. Tempest can be quite good with Ice Cream, and I think I'm going to take the Tempest. We can set up for a pretty big Lightning Orb setup on a turn with Tempest, if I've saved a bunch of energy with Ice Cream. Colorful Philosophers. So typically, which class you take from is actually an interesting decision at this event. Typically, you should avoid Regent cards because you need to be able to get star generation in order to play the Regent's best cards. And of course, you don't have the relic that gives you stars, so you would need to hit a good star generator and a good star payoff to have any good Regent cards show up. Necrobinder is a little better. You can hit just generically really strong cards like Defy, Grave Warden, because Soul Generation is really good for any class, that kind of thing. Usually I think that Silent cards are the best, but this deck might prefer Necrobinder cards, because Weakness application is really strong, and the Necrobinder has a few ways to do that. You obviously can't use the Asti attacks easily, unless you get a way to generate health with Asti. I think here I'm going to take Necrobinder cards, because I'm really hoping for stuff like Defy. Always, when you look at the 3 cards, you can skip. You should always skip them until you have looked at all of them. So here, in the first one, I'm probably going to take Scourge, even if we're not applying a lot of Doom. Card draw is pretty good with Ice Cream, and Scourge is just a pretty reasonable card. Spur is basically 1 cost 5 block, because we will never have enough health on Asti. Delay is a little interesting with Ice Cream, but we already have a lot of effects like this, and Sikkim is useless, so we're not going to take that. And then here, I could take Misery. We're not applying that many debuffs. If we draw it in our opening hand, it works with Red Mask, and Necromastery is 2 cost, 5 block, and 5 damage to everything, which is pretty bad. So, a pretty rough roll off of the cards here. Maybe we'd have gotten something better from the Silent, but I think we're just going to take a Scourge, because I do want more card draw. We obviously have to upgrade that before it draws 2 cards, but for now it's fine. Here, against this enemy, I'm definitely going to use my Attack Potion, because we need to kill this enemy quickly. So we'll use our Attack Potion, and I could take Compile Driver, I could take All for 1, which does the most damage. I could take Ball Lightning, which also does 10 damage. I don't have any 0-cost cards in hand currently, and All for 1 costs more in subsequent cycles. So let's just take Ball Lightning here, and I will play it. And I'll play the Glacier as well. And I could take 4 in order to play Scavenge, or I could play Defend and take less damage this turn. Let's just play the Defend. Scavenge would have been very good, of course, but I think we can get away from this fight without taking too much damage. Here, I'm going to start with my finesse, and we'll see what we draw into. We drew Sunder, which I can just hit for 24 here. That seems fine. I'm also not devastated if we lose the Tempest. It's pretty good in this deck just because we have Ice Cream, but it's not one that I am... that I think is incredibly critical to our plans. Unfortunately, I can't attack enough to stun this enemy, and we drew none of our blocking cards this turn. I definitely need more block in this deck as well. I can play Coolant in order to try to draw into Hotfix, so let's do that. And then I can play Bulk Up and guarantee that I draw into Hotfix, which is 2 block compared to defense, or which is 4 block compared to defense 5 block. So let's just play the defend, and I'll play a strike. And then this turn, I can play Hotfix. I've hit the enemy once, so I don't have enough damage to stun it by knocking it out of the flutter. I can play Glacier, and that will trigger some Frost Orbs, which is not bad. I could also play Sunder, but remember it's taking half damage from everything. So let's just play the Glacier here. And then I could play Ball Lightning to do some damage and cycle the Orb again, or I could save my energy. Let's play Ball Lightning. Because now I just need any damaging effect, and we can win the fight here. And we can go... Well, I need to play Finesse. And... Okay, this is actually kind of rough, because if I play Strike, it's only 3 damage. And so I actually need to play... And if I play Bulk Up, we get 3 more damage on the Strike, but it's still only 4, and we lose our Lightning Orb. So I need to start with Scourge, and then, tragically, it looks like we do lose our Tempest here, because I can play Strike, and then we've got the enemy down to 1. I could use my Focus Potion if I want to keep Tempest, but I think we're just going to let the thing get away. Oh well. We'll take the Liquid Bronze, that's a great potion to have, and then... am going to pick up another Shadow Shield. I need more blocking effects. Beam Cell would also be fine, but more Dark Generation and more block is pretty powerful. Alright, we got a random shop here. It's not exactly what I was looking for, because we don't have enough energy to make it really good. But we do have Impatience, and I currently just have 2 strikes as attacks, right? So... yeah, Impatience is actually going to be really solid. So I'm going to pick this up, and that'll be a 0-cost draw 2 a lot of the time. And then we're going to go to an event. I could add Decay and get Lost Wisp. Lost Wisp is pretty good. We have currently 3 powers, so that makes a lot of my powers... Oh, we also have Sunder as an attack. The Sunder continuing to be really bad in this run, by the way. I have typically liked this card for getting through Act 1 more smoothly, but it's done literal nothing and is now just a downside in this run currently. But I'm just going to take the money here, because we really don't want to add more cards, more dead cards to this deck. Even though I have Scavenge to get rid of it. In this spot, I think I probably need to rest, because we're not hitting another campsite until the end of the act, unless I go this way, which I could go that way as well. It means taking 1 fewer elite fight. There's also not that much that we really need to upgrade, so we're going to go into this elite fight after having rested. Here, let's start with Impatience. Draw 2 cards. A couple of curses here, and then I'm going to play Hotfix. Do I want to play Bulk Up before I play Finesse? I think I probably do, because then I get 10 block, I can play my Liquid Bronze for a bunch of damage to the enemy, and I can still play Scavenge. So let's play Bulk Up. We drew into Rolling Boulder, which I would have liked to draw later, of course, because now I can't play it during the first deck cycle. but then I can play Scavenge and get rid of Greed. And I can use my Liquid Bronze. It's very good against these enemies because you want to just deal a little bit of chip damage to all of them. And then we'll damage these enemies a bit. And we've gotten our bulk up set up. We also have 2 extra energy this turn. I'm going to play Zap here. And I'll play Coolant, because we draw a card immediately after I play Coolant. I think I can save my Focus Potion for the next fight. The Liquid Bronze Potion is good enough in this fight that we can get away with not playing both of them. And then here, probably it's just Shadow Shield and Glacier. That's a lot of block. And we get some Frost Orbs triggered. I'm not keeping any energy for next turn with Ice Cream, but we're doing decent amounts of damage with the Thorns, and we're getting some good orb setups going. We'll play Impatience here, and then I can play another Glacier if I want to, and that would be more Frost Orbs. I could also try to kill one of these enemies this turn. I think we'll just play Glacier, and then that puts that down to 15, and then I can play Compact for 9 more block. And then we've got 31 block this turn, which is almost enough to prevent us taking damage. And we're starting to get set up to where we can actually kill the enemies. So now I can Sunder. This turn, Sunder has finally actually done something. So I can do this and regain 3 energy. And then I'm always going to play Zap here. The question is, am I setting up Rolling Boulder and taking a bunch of damage this turn, or am I playing Scavenge? I do think this fight will go long enough that playing Rolling Boulder is important. So we're going to take another pretty big hit. Do 10 damage to the enemies here. Now I can play Hotfix, and then I can play Finesse, and I can play Zap. I can play Shadow Shield, triggering one of these orbs, and I can play Defend. Actually, do I need to play the Defend? No, I don't. We have enough block. I could play a Strike and kill this enemy, but the Rolling Boulder is going to kill both of these next turn anyways. So we can just block enough, we can save our 1 energy for Ice Cream here, and then we can win the fight. Alright, so that wasn't great, but we made it out of a fairly difficult fight. The Decimillipede fight is always tough for the Defect, and we drew Rolling Boulder, our best card, on a kind of awkward turn here. Subroutine is amazing. Go for the Eyes, also amazing, and Boost Away, really good with Compact. So I wish I could take all 3 of these cards. The trick with Subroutine in this character is we get to draw a card and gain an energy every time we play a power, which is just broken, I think. So I'm going to take Subroutine. I would love to take Go for the Eyes, but it's too good to get Subroutine. The advantage of taking Go for the Eyes would have been I could potentially have upgraded it with the Whetstone immediately, but I think Subroutine is just too powerful an effect to not take in this deck. Alright, Regal Pillow is nice. That will help given that my health is pretty low. And then I'm going to have to decide. I'm going to take this fight, and then I'll decide if I need to take the campsite. I probably will, given that my health is quite low. Hunter Killer here. Well, it's really nice that we can play Rolling Boulder on the first turn. So I'm going to do that. And we'll play a Zap, of course, as well. And then now we're just trying to block. So against this enemy, I, of course, we lose a strength and a dexterity whenever we play a card. So our cards that care about those stats, we want to play those first. So I'm going to play Compact and Defend first. And then I'm going to play the Hotfix. And then I could play Scourge, but I think I'd rather just save an energy for next turn. We have Rolling Boulder set up already. So I'm definitely going to have to rest here. So then here I can play Shadow Shield or Glacier first. I think we're going to play the Glacier first. And then I'm going to play Subroutine, because I want to get this going. And then I can play Coolant, which is free, because it costs an energy and a card, but gives us back an energy and a card. Finesse, unfortunately, we have lost a lot of block for the Finesse, but that's okay. And then I can play... I might have to use my Focus Potion this turn. We're taking 24, which is so much. I do think I actually need to do that. And then I'm going to play Scavenge, and we'll get rid of a Strike. And then that also lets me play Impatience. I could draw into Hotfix or Zap, so playing Impatience here is good. We missed on those cards, but that's alright. And yeah, I definitely have to go rest after this encounter, because I've been taking too much damage here. Alright, so this turn I can play Compact first. That's a bunch of block. I could also try to kill the enemy with Hotfix Dual Cast, so that would be 20 damage. I mean, I guess we're playing Compact first no matter what, unless I want to play Bulk Up before I play Compact, because I do get 3 Dexterity. If I play the Bulk Up, I have to go Zap first, so that Bulk Up eats a Lightning Orb and not a Frost Orb, and then play Bulk Up and then play Compact. So we're losing 2 Dexterity from these 2 cards, gaining 1 to play Compact. I guess that is better. We get 1 more block this way, so we're going to play... although I do give up Hotfix and Dual Cast as damage sources. So we also draw a card and gain an energy, and there's some pretty good cards I could draw with Bulk Up as well. This is a really interesting spot. I could go... I might also just be able to win the fight this turn, because if I draw Sunder after playing Hotfix plus Dual Cast, and then Bulk Up leaves me with 3 energy, then that would be 24 damage done, and then Sunder would be lethal. If I draw Strike, we don't have lethal. If I draw Scourge, we can maybe cycle through, but then I wouldn't have enough energy to play Sunder. So really neat spot in this encounter. I feel like there's a lot of different ways that you could play this, and I'm not sure which one is best. Let's go Zap first, and then play Bulk Up. And then I'm going to play the Compact while it still has the most possible Dexterity. Then I'm going to play Scourge and see what we draw into. We drew into a Strike. And we'll play Hotfix. And I'm going to play a Dual Cast evoking the Frost Orb, because currently I'm taking 1. If I Dual Cast, I'm not taking 1. And then Strike first, and then Dual Cast. Blocks all the incoming damage, and then the enemy will be at 10, which we can either kill with Sunder, or wait for it to die to Doom. So we prevented more damage that way. Oh wow, fascinating card reward again. Another hotfix would be great. Of course, more focus generation is excellent. Compiled driver is very good as well. We do need additional card draw, and this is always going to be extra card draw. Cool-headed is much better when upgraded, and we already have Scourge that we kind of want to upgrade, but I currently only have one way to generate Frost Orbs, so it's a little more exciting to get cool-headed, but I think we'll just take another hotfix. And then I'm going to go here and rest. The Regal Pillow actually really coming in handy because I took more damage than I expected in the last couple fights. And then this is one more hallway fight, and this one's always going to be a little bit difficult, but we should be able to make it out relatively safely. Let's play Zap here. And then I'll play Coolant, drawing a card. I'll play Finesse, drawing another card. I guess we'll play the hotfix. And then do I want to play Shadow Shield or just save energy for next turn? I could also play Scourge. I think I'm just going to save all of my energy for next turn. Having 5 next turn means if I draw a Rolling Boulder, there's a very good chance I can play it and still block most of the incoming damage, which is, in fact, what happened. So let's play Impatience, and then I'll play Rolling Boulder, because I need to get that going. I would have loved to get the subroutine first, of course, but here I can just play Compact and I can play Defend, blocking 13 damage, and then we take some. And this, of course, is why it's always good to try to avoid these enemies from the harder pool, because they're just really difficult to fight. We'll play Hotfix, and we'll play Glacier here, and that blocks 12, 16 damage, so I do still need to play a Defend in order not to take a hit. And then here I can get a Scavenge going, so I'm going to do that. We'll play Scavenge on the Strike. I'll play Hotfix just for some extra damage. I don't think I need to play any of these other cards. We'll just save our energy for next turn, even though I'm going to have the Scavenge energy. Now we just have a bunch. Here, I will cycle through Zap first, and then I'll play the Bulk Up. And then I can play Finesse as well. We can play Sunder, which would let me play Impatience. On the other hand, it costs a bunch of energy. So let's start with Scourge here. We'll see what we draw. I can play a Zap. I can play Subroutine. That draws a card as well. And then I have enough block if I just play the Defend. And I don't need to play Dual Cast or Impatience. And then our Rolling Boulder will end the fight next turn. Or make it close enough that we can end the fight next turn, and then we can play Hotfix, and the Zap Orb kills it. Alright, so some damage taken there, but not the end of the world. I think I do want a Hailstorm with our Subroutine and Game Piece setup. More powers is just good, and Hailstorm is not the best power, but certainly a solid one for this deck. And then we're going to go into the Infested Prism fight. Here, we can start with Subroutine. That's perfect. So, I guess I'll play Hotfix first. I'll play Subroutine. Oh, actually, let me play Strike first so I can play Impatience, and there's no chance we draw an attack off of the powers that we're playing. And Strike is energy neutral because we're against the Infested Prism, so when we hit it, we get energy. Then I'll play Subroutine, which gives me the Subroutine effect and draws a card. I'm going to play Hailstorm first before the Bulk Up, just to see what we draw into. And then Bulk Up I can play and then still be able to block once. So we'll do that. We'll play Bulk Up, gain an energy back, draw a card, and then I guess I'll play another Hotfix here, and we'll play a Defend. We've already used the Vital Strike effect, so or Vital Spark effect, so we don't want to play Strike here. Alright, this turn, I'm going to start with Finesse, drawing 10 block, and then I think I'm just going to play Glacier and Scavenge. I can play Coolant as well, because it's free. And then I'm going to Scavenge, and I'm actually going to Scavenge the Sunder. The Sunder is worse to have in the deck than Greed because it stops us from playing Impatience. And then this turn, let's start with Rolling Boulder. Because we gain one of the energy back, so we only spend 2 on it, and we draw a card. And then I can play Zap, which triggers a Lightning Orb, and then we're just playing as much block as we can, which is enough to stop the damage. We can't strike this turn because the enemy has block, and you need to actually do damage to it to get the energy back. Here I can go... I'll start with Scourge. We'll see what we draw into. And then I guess I'll just play Hotfix, Glacier. Or I could just keep these 2 orbs and save 2 energy for next turn. Let's actually do that instead. I think that's better. Just using our Ice Cream to better effect. And I'm very glad I did that. Here, I'll start with Finesse. And then I'm going to Scavenge the Strike. Or I could just play Strike and gain an energy back immediately. And then play Impatience. We can probably Scavenge something else. So let's play the Strike here. And then I'll play Impatience. I could play Shadow Shield first if I want to redraw it, which I don't hate. I think I will put 1 Shadow Shield back in the pool here, because I wouldn't mind redrawing it. And Actually, we have 2, so that doesn't really matter. Then I'm going to play a Scavenge on one of these defends. And I probably do want to set up Glacier, but again, I think I'd rather keep the energy for next turn. This turn, I can play Hotfix. And we can play one of these strikes for free. We gain the energy back. We can play Shadow Shield, and we can play Compact, blocking all the damage. And then I could play a strike. I could play a dual cast. I could save the energy. Saving 3 energy for next turn is fine. Let's play a strike. But I'll charge up the Dark Orbs more rather than play dual cast here. And then this turn, let's start with Hotfix, and Finesse, and Scourge. And then I can play dual cast on the high-powered Dark Orb, which I will do. And then we'll play a Zap, and then I'm just playing 2 defends, and we're taking a pretty substantial hit this turn. I was hoping to get out of this fight without taking a big hit like that, but we've now managed to win the encounter, and it dies to the Doom here. Weak Potion is nice going into the Kaiser Crab fight. Amethyst Aubergine at this point is not particularly powerful, and we'll add a card to the deck. Alright, well, I love Genetic Algorithm. It's one of the best cards, but we've got to take Overclock. We have Compact, and cycling through the deck is so important to this character, so we're always going to take Overclock there. I don't have enough money to remove another card, because we've already done the 100 and the 150 removals, but I still want to go to the shop over the event here. Another subroutine is really powerful. I definitely want that. And is there anything else that I want here? Synthesis is pretty interesting with Rolling Boulder. It's also good, of course, because it makes our all of our powers energy positive when we have subroutine. But I think I'm just going to take the subroutine here. I do like Synchronize and another hotfix as well, but we have no way to generate extra orb slots currently. I could also take Dark Shackles. I think I do want the Dark Shackles. This card is a good way to defend us. It upgrades really well to minus 15 strength. And being able to have zero-cost defensive cards is exactly what this deck needs, because that can set me up to save energy turn to turn with Ice Cream. So we're going to take the Dark Shackles here, and just make sure that we have enough health that we're not in danger of dying. Then I'm going to go here, and of course we'll rest, because my health is very, very low. I would love to get some upgrades, but currently more important, of course, to save our health, and then we can go to this fight. Alright, let's start by playing the Overclock. And we'll see what we draw. Drawing Rolling Boulder is kind of interesting because I definitely want to get that going. And I would love to play Subroutine early, but I think that the Rolling Boulder, just starting with that in play, matters more than anything else. And then we'll play Zap, and I'll Dark Shackles this enemy, just to prevent some damage, and then we can take 7. That's totally fine, and Dark Shackles immediately proving its worth here. This turn, we can start with Hotfix, because I'm always going to be playing that. We have Sunder in hand, and no Scavenge, so I can't easily play Impatience. And I don't have Bulk Up available currently, so let's start with the Finesse and see what we draw into. And then I can play Hailstorm to draw a card. I am probably going to throw my Weak Potion here in order to turn around facing Rocket, and then also have the minimum amount of damage incoming. And I get Hailstorm going, and I'm going to draw a card off of it. And getting rid of the Ascender's Bane is fine here, and then we can just play Shadow Shield to block the most amount of damage. And also get a Dark Orb set up. Not a great turn for us, honestly. My Scavenge being at the bottom of the deck is making things a little bit harder here. This turn, I can set up Subroutine, and we draw a card. Let's start with Hotfix, I guess. We'll set up Subroutine, I'll place Coolant, because this is now energy neutral and cycles to draw a card. I would love to get Glacier set up, but it's possible that I'm supposed to play Scavenge and Scourge in order to turn around. If I play Scourge, I'm drawing Strike. Getting the Greed out of the deck is good. Also, when you have... Glacier prevents a lot of damage this turn, because we have Hotfix. But when you have Ice Cream, getting ahead on the energy curve is really good. So starting to use Scavenge is pretty powerful. This prevents the enemy do 50% more damage when they're attacking you from behind. So this prevents 6 damage, and then we take, I think it's 14 total. Or I can play Glacier, which would be 14 total blocks, so I take 6. So I take 8 more damage this way, but get to play Scavenge. I think that this is better. So I'm going to play Scourge, turning around, and I'll Scavenge, removing the Greed. Maybe even possible I'm supposed to remove Strike. Enemy is weakened this turn, but we don't have currently a way to turn to face Rocket right now. But let's start with Hotfix. Well, I can play Sunder to turn to face Rocket. Then I'm going to play Subroutine, which is energy neutral and draws a card. And then I'll play Overclock. I will play Scourge, which turns me to face the correct direction. I'm going to play Zap, Bulk Up, and Shadow Shield, probably. So let's play Zap. I'll play Bulk Up, losing my Lightning Orb. I want to keep the Dark Orb. And Bulk Up is energy neutral and draws a card as well. I don't have any of my burns in hand, so Compact isn't very good here. But I can play Shadow Shield, blocking some more damage, setting up a Dark Orb. I can play Compact for 6 block. And I can play Defend for 6 block. We're not keeping energy for Ice Cream, but I'm saving the maximum amount of health this turn. 25 damage, but I can start with Strike to turn around, and that lets me play Impatience. And then I can set up Hotfix, I can play Finesse here, and I can play Glacier, which will block most of the incoming damage, and trigger both Dark Orbs for a bunch of damage. And then, yeah, we take none this turn. And of course, Rolling Boulder is continuing to tick up here. This turn, I can start with Finesse. I would love to kill one of these enemies, but we'll start with Finesse and see what we draw into. I do have Strike, so I can play Strike to get it out of my hand. I can also play Scavenge to get the Strike out of the deck forever, and then play Impatience. And that seems better. So let's play Scavenge. We'll get rid of Strike, because I'm very likely to play Scavenge this turn anyways. And then I can play Impatience, draw into Hotfix, which is really nice, because then that will allow me to play a Shadow Shield, triggering one of these Frost Orbs, and getting a bunch more block, so we take no damage. 35 damage to each enemy this turn, so I should be able to kill Crusher if I want to. I can play Compact, getting rid of the burn, and I have no other card draw to maybe draw into other burns, so let's just do that. And then I am going to play the Fuel. I will play Zap first, and we can kill Crusher here by triggering any orb generation. So then I'll play Glacier, because I do want Frost Orb set up, and I'll play Shadow Shield because I want to get the Darkness Orb ticking. Then we'll keep our last energy. And then 40 damage here, and we can just play any defensive card, and the enemy will die to Doom. So really nice Kaiser Crab fight. Very, very clean. Getting to set up Rolling Boulder, of course, on the first turn was very powerful there, but that's exactly what we're looking for. All right, let's look at these cards. So Rainbow is still not as good because we have Bulk Up in the deck. Trash to Treasure is pretty interesting. We currently only have one way to create a status, but we probably will add extras, and we do just want more powers in the deck when we have double subroutine. So I think we'll take Trash to Treasure. Having it be innate can be pretty helpful as well, and All for One is strong. When you upgrade subroutine, it just becomes 0 energy, so we can have all of our powers be energy and energy positive and card neutral. So adding powers to the deck is quite good for this character in general. Even though Trash to Treasure isn't the best power, I think we're going to be picking that up here. Going into Act 3, let's take a look at what the deck needs at this point. So, as many Defect decks end up, this one's ended up pretty large, but it's a little bit deceptive because we have Game Piece, so a lot of these cards replace themselves and don't really add more to the effective size of our deck. We also have a lot of zero-cost cards, so we're overall in pretty good shape in terms of being able to cycle through to our important cards. Now, we are a little vulnerable to bad opening hands, so I'm looking for insurance against that. And I'm looking for more Frost Orb generation. I also would love, at this point, because we have Trash to Treasure, more cards like Overclock and more, and a Capacitor is a really high pick as well, because then we could actually use the extra Orb generation. So those are kind of the things that we're looking for. Let's take a look at the Ancient here. Enthralled, I don't mind that much. I think that this deck can use this fairly well. This is eternal and can't be removed from the deck, but we can exhaust it with Scavenge. So we do, or no, we can't exhaust it with Scavenge because we have to play it first in order when we draw it. We don't have ways to exhaust cards that are in our deck. So only ones that are in our hand. So Enthralled is a little bit worse here. We do want more energy generation, and the Ice Cream, of course, makes the extra energy guaranteed to be useful. The downside is that this gives us potential for really bad opening hands, but since we have Red Mask, that's much less of a problem overall. Distinguished Cape, I think, is one of the best Ancient options in general. Adding Apparition to the deck makes you so much stronger and means that you're going to have much, much better turns in general. Having the ability to become intangible means that you have a lot more insurance against bad draws and against difficult enemies. Anytime you're cycling through the deck in the first go round, Apparition will almost always prevent hundreds of damage and let you set up some of your more difficult powers more easily. Jeweled Mask is very good for this deck as well. Obviously, if we hit Rolling Boulder, it's incredible, but even if it just hits a subroutine, getting one of those started and making sure that all of our other powers are really strong, have the bonus immediately and replace themselves in terms of energy is great as well. So I actually think you could make a really strong argument for any of these three options. Given the deck that we have currently, though, and the fact that defensive capability is what we're really missing, I'm going to take Distinguished Cape. The Apparition effects are just so powerful. Here, I can... as always, we're looking to avoid taking more than 2 hallway fights as long as possible, because in Act 2 and 3, the enemies start coming from a harder pool after the first 2. We do have, if I wanted a really tough path, I could go around the outside here and take 2 elite fights. I think that's too ambitious. We would just lose too much health that way. So I think we're probably going up the middle here, and then we'll take an elite fight, and then no matter which way I go from there, I'm taking 2 hallway fights. But we can do this and then go to the shop. We only get 1 elite fight in this act if I do that. I could also, but I do get to go to a shop if I have enough money for it. Or I could go to the left if I'm feeling like I don't have enough money for the shop, or something like this as well. We're always taking 2 hard mode hallway fights no matter which path I take. So let's go down the middle and we'll see what we get at the first shop and in these first encounters. So Apparition immediately looking very good here. Let's start by playing our Impatient. And we'll see what we draw. We drew Rolling Boulder. Now, I would love to get Rolling Boulder set up, but I need to play the Apparition, and I need to play enough block. So let's start with Subroutine. That will replace itself. I can then play Hailstorm, which replaces itself with +1 energy. We drew Sunder, which doesn't do anything here. I will play the Overclock. And I'll play Trash to Treasure, which just replaces itself again. I haven't drawn a single blocking card, which is kind of funny. So I am taking, actually, a substantial amount of damage, because Ethereal just reduces all, or Intangible just reduces all incoming damage to 1. So we're taking 6 here, which is kind of funny, given how good an opening turn this was. And then I'm not going to bother playing Strike. I'm going to save my energy for the Ice Cream. Taking 6 is disappointing in this spot, I have to say. Alright, let's start by playing Finesse, redrawing a card. And I'll play Hotfix, and I'll play Apparition, and then I can play Defend to block all but 1 of the damage, or Compact to block all the damage. So I'm just going to play Compact, and I'm going to scavenge a Strike, and I'll save my energy again. And our fights are going to look a lot like this pretty frequently from now on, I think. Dark Shackles, we don't need to play this turn because we only have 6 damage incoming. Let's start with Subroutine. And then I will play Coolant, which is energy positive. We'll play Bulk Up, which is energy neutral. And then I can play some Glaciers and Shadow Shields. I want 1 Shadow Shield and 1 Glacier, I think. To make sure I keep 1 Frost Orb and have enough block this turn. And then I can just keep all of the energy again for next turn. So this deck is starting to look really good at this point. And then here, let's start with Impatience. And we'll see what we draw into. And then I'm going to play an Overclock. We have Rolling Boulder, which only costs 1 energy now, which is great. So I'm going to play that and again draw a card. And I'll play Apparition, because I'm always doing that. I'll play Scourge. This enemy's taken a lot of damage, so we can just play Scourge on that guy. And then I have done enough blocking. I don't need to play the Dark Shackles. I guess I will play Zap. And I'll play a Glacier. Just keep a bunch of Frost Orbs. It means I'm only keeping 1 energy for next turn, but that's fine. And then Rolling Boulder puts this enemy down to where it's dying to the Doom. I can Sunder for free, so I guess I'll do that. And then here we can go Hotfix, Defend, Defend. And that's going to be 26 block. And then I can scavenge the Strike as well. I actually drew Compact in the same hand as the Burn, which is pretty nice. So we'll Compact the Burn here, and then we'll play Fuel, and we'll play Hotfix, and we'll play Shadow Shield, and no need to play a Glacier here. And Rolling Boulder ends the fight. Alright, very, very clean first fight. Taking 6 damage in the first hand was a little funny, but that's okay. We've got a Colorless Potion, which is very helpful. Yeah, I'll definitely take a Thunder if I can. We're pretty much adding any 1-cost power to the deck that we can at this point. And if I find Lightning, or Storm rather, then we'll be able to generate a lot of extra damage from that as well. Starting with Subroutine in our opening hand is great here. Now, this could be a pretty risky fight, so hopefully we draw into something decent. We'll play Subroutine. I'll play Trash to Treasure, because it's... I'll play Finesse first. I might draw the second Subroutine. Then I'll play Trash to Treasure. Then I'll play Coolant. All of those energy neutral. We'll set up Hotfix. Compact, I can block some damage here, but I might want to use my Colorless Potion to try to avoid losing too much max health here. The potion is generally not what I would prefer to play. I guess I'll take Stratagem just because it cycles and gives me 2 energy, or gives me an energy. And then I can play some defensive cards, and we take 2. We do lose 2 max HP. I'm going to save these cards for having more energy next turn. The Scroll of Biting fight is always a really difficult fight. The fact that I didn't draw any of my apparitions in the opening setup is, of course, going to end up costing me here, but that's alright. Let's start with Impatience. I might draw my second subroutine, which is what we're hoping for. I didn't, but I do have all of my apparitions, so I can play... I'm going to play Zap. I can play Bulk Up for 1 energy. I could play 2 apparitions, which keeps me ethereal for 2 turns. I could play Rolling Boulder for 2 energy. I really want to play at least 2 of these apparitions. And I think I'm just going to play 3 apparitions, stay ethereal for, or intangible for 3 turns, and then just play a defend. This way, I didn't set up some powers this turn, but we are not taking any damage for the next 3 turns, probably, as long as I can draw into a minimal amount of block. So overall, this is going to be better. I can actually Sunder for free here, killing that enemy. So the Sunder was embarrassing in the early game, but has been weirdly better now, which is kind of fun. And then I'm going to play a Shadow Shield and play a Scavenge on a Defend here. And I don't need to use my Dark Shackles. And then this turn, I can play Subroutine first. Oh, right, I have the Stratagem. So I guess I'll add Rolling Boulder to hand, because I do want to play that. We'll play Hotfix as well. And then I can play Rolling Boulder, drawing a card, getting 2 of those energy back. I can play Impatience, drawing some cards. I can play Thunder. I can play Hailstorm, cycling through the deck significantly. We can play Overclock for +2 cards here as well. And then I can play Scourge. I'll cycle that. And I'll play a Shadow Shield. And then I think Dual Cast is lethal, right? Or lethal on one of the enemies, and Strike is lethal on the other. I could obviously keep going. We could scavenge stuff. We could do all kinds of other nonsense, but the fight's over. We only took 2 damage and lost 2 max HP. Pretty happy with that against the Scrolls of Biting. This is the one of the number 1 cards I was hoping for. Turbo with Ice Cream is incredible, because you will... The problem with this card is sometimes you won't be able to spend all the energy, and then it'll actually cost you energy in future turns. With Ice Cream, that's not a problem, so it's always going to be heavily energy positive. And it sets up status effects for my Compact, so overall, one of the best cards we could possibly have gotten. We've talked about wanting Capacitor already, and so I'm definitely buying that. Panache could be very good as well. It's a 0-cost card that replaces itself. This is also a shop where a lot of different good cards are available. Cool-Headed I definitely want. Boost Away I definitely want. Panache cycles for free at worst and is often going to be energy positive. So I definitely want to buy that. I think we'll buy Panache, and of course Boost Away and Cool-Headed are really powerful cards for this deck. I think I'm just going to keep buying powers, though. When we have Game Piece and double subroutine, just buying powers is so strong for this deck. We're just going to try to do that as much as possible. Then, this is exactly what I was, the type of thing I was hoping for. There's a lot of good upgrades that we still have available, like the subroutines in particular. Now, there are some cards I would really not like to lose the upgrades on. Hotfixes, Rolling Boulder, those would be bad ones to lose. We have upgraded 2 strikes, though, so losing out on... Okay, well, we hit 2 of the worst cards to lose our upgrades on, Rolling Boulder and Turbo. Now, it did re-upgrade the Turbo. I've actually never seen that. I didn't realize that it could downgrade and then re-upgrade the same card. But... Oh, wait. The Rolling Boulder's still upgraded as well. Did it just hit both? It downgraded and then upgraded Rolling Boulder and Turbo? Unless I missed something. What else did we lose out on the upgrade for? We have... Both our hotfixes are still upgraded... Our Finesse is still upgraded. Our Zap is still upgraded. What else had I upgraded? I'm actually not sure what got downgraded. I do wish that that event kept the things on screen a little bit longer. But it looks like... Yeah, it looks like nothing important got downgraded. Let me just do one more check here. We had... Hotfix was upgraded, Rolling Boulder was upgraded. So did it... I think it downgraded Rolling Boulder and Turbo, and then upgraded both Rolling Boulder and Turbo, is what happened there. Which is kind of unreal. But let me know in the comments what actually happened, because I'm a little confused by that whole sequence. Subroutine getting upgraded was great, of course, so we can play that, and now all of these powers are just free card draw. And we'll play Thunder. We'll play Capacitor. I can play Scourge and draw a card, so I'll do that. I can play Finesse and draw a card, and we'll do that as well. I will play Turbo, because that's just energy positive, basically no matter what, and we'll play Zap, and then I'm saving all the rest of my energy. I don't need to play a Strike. This turn, we are fairly likely to take a bunch of damage. Of course, we rolled into a hard mode encounter immediately, which is going to be somewhat difficult. Let's start with Impatient before I play anything else, because I might draw into my subroutine, which I did. Alright, Apparition, saving the day, because, you know, we're taking 36 damage this turn, but Apparition changes that to 3. And that's why this is one of the very best Ancient boons in the game. I will say we've gotten 2 of, I think, the top, maybe 2 Ancient boons in the game, in the form of Pale's Blood and Distinguished Cape. We'll start with subroutine here, and then I'll play Panache, which is +2 energy and card neutral, which is amazing. And then we'll play Bulk Up. I do lose an orb, but we get a bunch of dexterity. I can play Rolling Boulder here, because obviously I want to get that set up. I can play Coolant. I can play Hailstorm, and we're just energy positive. We're comboing off. I'm always going to play 2 Apparitions, and our Panache went off as well. And then let's go with Glacier, Shadow Shield, and I'll just trigger the Lightning Orb and get another Darkness Orb set up. And then we've still got our Defend. Or we still have our 3 energy for next turn. Now, we might at some point lose an energy, because I do have Void in the deck, and I do need to be aware of that. Let's start with Hotfix. I can play Sunder for free. It's energy neutral, so might as well do that. And then I'll play Overclock, and we'll play another Hotfix. We'll play an Apparition. Now I've played 5 cards. I have enough energy, I can just play a Strike here as well. And I don't need to play these Defends. We have more than enough block. And then this Punch Construct is dying. This deck has gotten incredible, by the way. The double subroutine with Game Piece is just ridiculous. And then this turn, let's start with Trash to Treasure. And then we'll play an Impatience. We did draw our Void. I can play Overclock. I'm basically just trying to draw into some damage of some kind. And I guess I'll scavenge getting rid of the Greed here, because Void will go away by itself. I didn't draw a way to win the fight this turn, but that's okay. We'll just pass the turn, and Rolling Boulder will end it. Also, I'm just enjoying how good the deck is at this point. Darkness. I do like Darkness overall, but I think it's not a power, and it doesn't draw cards or provide energy or block. So we're just going to skip this card reward. Tinker Time, awesome. Let's see what we get. Sadly, we didn't get offered the power. If we get the power, that's the best possible outcome, because that one can make other powers cheaper, and that's exactly what we're looking for. But we'll definitely take the skill here. And the skill is going to be 8 block and 2 energy, or 8 block and add a random card. It's free to play this turn. Let's just take 2 energy. We have Ice Cream, so energy generation is always great. And 8 block, of course, is great as well. Then I'm going to go to the chest here. Pantograph is a phenomenal find as well. That's going to let me do some upgrading. Given that I have that, I'm probably going to try to take 2 more elite fights as well. So I'll probably go to the left here. We'll take the elite fight. And then against this enemy, let's start with Coolant, because I guess I draw a card off it. And then I'm definitely taking damage this turn, unfortunately, but I can play Turbo. I'm going to play the Dark Shackles just to remove an artifact, and because I don't really want to redraw Dark Shackles. And then we can play as much block as we can get away with, and we'll take 8. And this is the challenge for this deck, is we are vulnerable to bad opening draws, especially when we don't have subroutine in our opening hand. Here, I'm going to start with Scourge to draw a card, I think, because I could draw into... rather than playing the powers, I could draw into subroutine. I can scavenge one of the strikes and play the other one to play Impatience, and then we draw 2 cards, and I guess that's better than... basically, I'm spending 1 energy here in order to draw 2 cards. I could play the Apparition, but we're not taking damage this turn, so we're just going to let it etherealize, and I'll get Capacitor set up. Do I have Compact in the deck still? I don't. So, we can't really... The burns we can't use effectively this turn, but I can play Mad Science, that's energy positive. I can play the Zap, just get it out of my deck. I can Overclock here, and I can play Panache, which is energy neutral, but let's play Finesse first, because I'm still looking for my 2 subroutines. Sadly, both near the bottom of the deck. But we'll play Panache, drawing a card for 0. We'll play Hotfix. And I'll play Trash to Treasure. And the Apparition again, wasted here, but that's okay. I guess I do want to play a Glacier, and we'll save 3 energy, but getting the Frost Orb set up will help for future turns. Alright, now we've finally drawn our subroutines, so let's start with Hotfix. We'll play subroutine. Drawing a card, we'll play subroutine. Drawing a card and gaining the energy back. Then I can play Hailstorm, drawing a card and gaining 2 energy. I'll play Apparition, of course, reducing that incoming damage to 1. I was hoping to find a way to cycle... Like, if I found Zap, I wouldn't lose a Frost Orb here, but we'll just play Bulk Up, and we'll play Rolling Boulder. And I still have plenty of block for the burns. And now we've got all of our powers set up. I would love a creative AI in this deck. That would be incredible. Here I'm going to Scavenge, getting rid of the Sunder, and I'll play Hotfix. And I guess cycling these orbs to put some more Frost into play is good. We don't have Apparitions left in the deck, so I do need some block when I get the dangerous turns. Alright, this is perfect, so I can go Hotfix, and then I can go Overclock, trying to draw 1 more of the burns, if possible. We didn't, but I can still play Compact, turning 5 burns into fuel. And I'll play Zap, I'll play Fuel, I'll play Thunder, I'll play Scourge, just cycling through, I'll play a Fuel. We do get a Void here, but somehow I think we've got enough energy. And then I'm going to cycle all these Fuels, I'll play another Turbo. Actually, I think I don't want more... We have infinite energy at this point, and I don't want more Voids in the deck. Not because losing energy is bad, but because losing a card draw to them is bad. And I guess I'll play a Strike, because, again, we have infinite energy, so... Might as well get 12 more damage out. And then here, let's start with Impatience, and then I can play Overclock, I can play Finesse. Alright, we did draw Mono Burns. I'm going to play a dual cast here, because I do want to block more damage, and then defend and Shadow Shield. And we take 2, it looks like. Just because I drew a million curses. This turn, let's start with Hotfix. I will scavenge our last strike. And I'm going to play Zap and Shadow Shield cycling through there. And again, I won't play Turbo. And then here we can go Mad Science, Hotfix, and that's enough. I don't need to play these defends. I'll play one just to make sure I haven't, like, miscounted somehow. And Rolling Boulder will end the fight next turn. Or rather, Rolling Boulder into a Dark Orb will end the fight next turn. A Block Potion, not terrible. It can save me some health. And Venerable Tea Set, that's really, really nice for the boss fights as well. Yep, we'll add another upgraded subroutine. I would love Chill as well, but getting, you know, more zero-cost powers that just replace themselves is exactly what the deck is looking for. Let's go here, and we'll take a fight against the Slimed Berserker. We'll start with subroutine. Having one of these in my opening hand is, of course, ideal. And then I can play Panache for +1 energy. I can play Coolant, which is energy neutral. Mad Science is energy positive. Hailstorm is card and energy neutral. And then we'll play Rolling Boulder as well, gaining one of the energies back. We'll play Scavenge on the Greed. And I'll play Shadow Shield to get a Dark Orb going. So basically a perfect first turn. This turn we have a bunch of apparitions. Let's start with Hotfix, and then I'll play Capacitor. And then I'll play Trash to Treasure, energy neutral, and we draw a card. I'll play Apparition, so I don't take any damage. And I'll play the Glacier. And I think... did I play Scavenge this turn or last turn? I think I played it last turn. I won't play Shadow Shield. I'm going to save some energy. This turn, let's start with Impatience, and we'll see what we draw. And then we'll play Finesse, and we'll play Thunder. I'll play a Hotfix. I'll play a Scourge, because that is, again, cycling through the deck. We'll play Subroutine, continuing to cycle. I can play my Turbo, because that's just energy positive. Apparition doesn't do anything this turn, so I guess with 7 energy, I can just play 2 strikes to end the fight a little faster, I think, as well. Here, we'll start with Subroutine. Apparition, a great draw as well. And then I'm going to play the Overclock. And I'll play Bulk Up, eating the Glass Orb. That's fine. And then we redraw a card here. I am going to play a Slimed. I'm going to play Apparition. And I'm going to play a Scourge. Play Mad Science. And I'm going to spend 3 energy on the Sunder here. Because again, I just have infinite energy. No need to play Dark Shackles or any of these defense. This deck is so good at this point. Alright, well, we drew Compact and 4 statuses, so that's pretty nice as well. We'll play some Fuels. We'll play Hotfix. We'll play a Slime. Play a Finesse. Oh, and Dual Cast is just lethal. So I didn't need to spin my wheels like that. Do I want a Hotfix? Another one. I think I do. Just more focus generation is quite solid. And then I'm going to go here because I can upgrade. And with Pantograph, I can definitely get away with upgrading a card. So we're going to Smith. Do I upgrade? I could upgrade Capacitor for more orb slots. I could upgrade Panache for more damage. I could upgrade Trash to Treasure to make it innate, which having an innate power is pretty good for this deck. Overclock drawing 3 is great. Subroutine costing 0 is also great. I don't think I really need my 3rd subroutine to cost 0, though. Coolant is more block. I think I'm just going to upgrade Overclock. Being able to cycle through the deck faster is what we need, so just making sure that when we play card draw, it's as good as possible is going to be the most important thing. And then here... we are immediately rewarded for that by drawing the Overclock and Turbo, both in our opening hand. Let's start with Overclock. I'll play Subroutine. I'll play Trash to Treasure. Because, yeah, I have no other card draw, so that's just +1 card. We'll play Subroutine. We'll play Hailstorm, gaining a bunch of energy. And then I can play Hotfix. I'm going to play 1 Turbo here, which maybe I don't even need to. And then I'm going to play Dark Shackles. I don't really want to redraw it, so I'll play it and get it out of the hand. And then I'll play Glacier to set up some Frost Orbs. Save the rest of my energy. This turn, I can play... We'll start with Capacitor. And then... I guess I'll be playing an Apparition no matter what, so I'm just going to do that. I'm going to play a Shadow Shield. And I'll play another one just to get more Dark Orbs into play. And I'm going to scavenge Dual Cast, which I don't really care about for this fight. Here, I can start with Thunder. And Subroutine. And Coolant. And then I'm going to play Hotfix. I'm going to play Zap. I'm going to play Bulk Up, which eats the Lightning Orb, which is the least valuable orb. We'll play a Finesse here. We'll play another Hotfix. I'll play a Strike because it's effectively free. Playing that Apparition, actually, was technically wrong because now I have 1 fewer energy. I think we'll probably survive, though. I'll play Panache here. And then I'm going to play a Scourge. Drawing into the Sunder does mean I have to play that before I can play the Impatient. But we can do everything in the correct order here. Play Impatient, play Hotfix, we'll play the Apparition, and I'll play another Mad Science, because it's energy positive. Here we can start with Overclock, which gives us a Plasma Orb, because what we really need is more energy at this point. And then we'll play Zap, we'll play Finesse, Hotfix, Glacier, cycling through some Darkness Orbs to end the fight at some point. We'll play a Sunder, I'll play a Strike, and I don't need to play Defend, because I have enough block. And then here I can go Scourge first, and we can play some Shadow Shields to set up some Darkness. And then the Doom will end the fight. So a slow fight against the Frog Knight. I wouldn't mind 1 more damaging card. If we get a Storm, that would be incredible. Another Overclock, of course, is great. Iteration is really powerful here as well. Which of these do I want? Iteration means that we can cycle through despite having Void and Burns in the deck. We can still cycle. Lightning Rod isn't bad. It helps kill the enemy faster. But I think just taking another Overclock is going to be the most important. Being able to just draw to my good cards is the key to winning with this deck. So just making sure that we have the most potential ways to do that possible is going to be the most important thing. We'll play Subroutine here. Also, Gigantification Potion could technically be fine with the Sunder. It's not a great potion for this deck in particular. And I'll play Mad Science. I'll play Overclock. I'll play another Overclock. Play another Subroutine. And then I can play Capacitor. I guess we'll play Finesse first because we could draw another Subroutine. And then technically that's the better order. Then I can play Capacitor, drawing a card. I can play Coolant, drawing a card and generating energy. I'm going to play Dark Shackles because I don't want to redraw it. I can play Zap. And I can play Shadow Shield. That's enough block and sets up a Darkness Orb. And we have tons of energy. I don't think we need to play Turbo here. And I don't really need to add a Void to the deck. Here I can start with Hailstorm, because that will replace itself. And then I will just play 2 Apparitions. I'm going to play a Glacier, blocking enough damage, and then a Shadow Shield, and then I will just scavenge the upgraded Defend for this fight. Drawing Defend just isn't usually going to be what we want to do. Here we can play another turn of intangible. We can play Trash to Treasure first, because it gives me more energy and helps me draw the cards that I'm looking for. I'll play Rolling Boulder, because I might draw a way to not eat the Dark Orb, and that's the one that I want to keep, if possible. But I'll just play a bulk up here. And then Sunder and Strike, these are too small for what we're doing, so we're just going to keep our energy for more important cards. Here we can start with Subroutine, even more energy positive. We can play Panache, cycling. We can play a Thunder, cycling again. Let's play Hotfix as well. And then I will play a Scourge drawing. We'll play Zap. We'll play Shadow Shield. And at this point, Strike is free. Because everything is free. Here, this is a really bad hand, actually. We might take some damage. So let's go with Finesse first. And Overclock to the rescue, hopefully. And then Compact is actually amazing here. I can't draw any other cards, but I can compact the 2 burns. And we'll play Fuel and Fuel. I can play Sunder so that I can, and Strike so that I can play Impatience. Tragic that I couldn't scavenge those attacks, but we'll play a Glacier. And I'll play Scavenge on Greed. And then I have enough block. And I'll dual cast the Dark Orb, because that's more damage overall. So that's why we wanted the Overclock, so we can draw into it. And of course, Mango's a nice draw as well, because then we, even if I have a bad fight, we get some good value out of that. Boost Away is pretty strong. It's block. It adds daze, which I don't care about. Glasswork is also pretty good. I wish one of these was a power. I would take pretty much any power over either of these cards. Do I care about a Boost Away? We're against the Queen and Test Subject, and I think we no longer really want effects like Boost Away or Glasswork in the deck. And we're not attacking, although I could maybe set up a huge Sunder with Beam Cell and Gigantification Potion, but I think we're just skipping. And then I have Panache, or Pantograph rather. I have Panache as well. But I'm going to heal the full no matter what, so I can upgrade here. What am I going to upgrade? I could upgrade an Overclock. I could upgrade... We are a little light on damage at this point, so these fights will not be as fast as I would like. So I could upgrade Hailstorm for more damage. I could upgrade Scourge, because then we are able to draw more cards with that, or Overclock. I think probably just upgrading Overclock is still the best, because then I can cycle through the deck much faster yet again. And then we're going to go on to the boss fight, after I take a quick break. Alright, so it's a couple hours later. I went off and had dinner, had a couple beers also, so we'll see how that affects this boss fight. I'm just going to quickly look over the deck again, both to remind myself of exactly what we had, and also because it can be good practice if you are learning the game, especially, to take a quick look at your deck before the boss fight and formulate a plan. Now, this deck's plan is pretty straightforward. We're going to play a bunch of subroutines, then we're going to play all our powers, and then we're just going to block a bunch while Darkness Orbs and Rolling Boulders kill the enemies. But it can very much be worth taking the time to take a quick look at your deck in order to make sure that you know exactly how you're going to formulate the fight. We have Pantograph here, so we're going to heal back to full, and we'll have extra energy on the first turn thanks to Venerable T-Set. So let's jump into the Queen fight. The Queen fight, I think, will be a little easier than the Test Subject fight for this character, because the Test Subject multiple stages can be difficult, so I'm going to try to keep my potions for that fight. And in this fight, we also start with extra energy, which with Ice Cream, of course, is going to make it a lot easier. So here, let's start with Impatience, since we have no attacks in hand, so we can play it for free. I'm always playing Hotfix this turn. I'm going to play Subroutine, and then we can draw a card, and then I'm going to play Finesse to try to draw into more of the key cards for this deck. I missed on that, but let's play Mad Science, energy positive. We'll play Zap, and I could play Apparition. It doesn't really matter because we have enough block from just the cards that we've played already. So although losing out on the Apparition is a little painful, we might as well just save our energy for next turn. Now here, of course, we have the bound effect from the Queen. So we are going to only be able to play one of these 3 cards. The question is, would I rather play Overclock, Subroutine, or Bulk Up? Any of these are pretty reasonable options. I'm always going to play Hotfix. I think here, although Subroutine is energy positive, we already have 9 energy, so I don't really care that much about it. I'm going to play Overclock instead, because I really want to be able to play as many cards in a given turn as possible. Also, the earlier I can draw into Rolling Boulder, the stronger we're going to be, and the faster we can get through this fight with the least damage taken. Let's start with Scourge on the Torch Head here, because I could draw into another subroutine, which I did before playing Thunder, and then we get extra energy off of that. And then we'll play Thunder, drawing another card. Still haven't drawn Rolling Boulder, still haven't drawn our Scavenge, which is another card I very much want. Let's play our Glacier, and then I'm going to play a Shadow Shield, and that's enough block by itself. Do I want to get another Shadow Shield going? It means giving up on a Frost Orb and, of course, losing some energy this turn. But I think getting another Darkness Orb in play is going to be pretty important. And then I'm not going to spend my last energy on a strike. I think we can do better than that next turn. Hopefully we draw enough card draw that we can make that work. Now here, unfortunately, Scavenge and Overclock, 2 of our best cards, are bound with our Rolling Boulder, which I need to play. So I'm going to be playing Rolling Boulder first, and then we'll just have to not play Scavenge and Overclock in this cycle. We'll play Hailstorm, which is energy positive and card neutral. We'll play Capacitor, same deal. We'll play Coolant, same deal. And then I'm going to play 2 Apparitions, so that we're intangible for multiple turns. At this point, I have enough energy that I can just play a strike as well. And I guess I should play the Defend, because I only have the 1 Frost Orb, so otherwise I'm actually taking 1 damage. Which is kind of funny. Here, obviously, I don't care about these cards being bound, so let's start with Panache. And then I'm not going to play Turbo, because we have infinite energy already, so I don't particularly need to play Turbo. I can play Sunder for a little bit of extra damage, and then I'm just going to pass on the rest of this hand. This turn, we have Trash to Treasure, which is probably the bound card that I'm going to play. Let's start with Impatience and see what we draw. And then I'll play Overclock as well. And we'll play Subroutine, drawing a card. We'll play Bulk Up, drawing an additional card. And that's energy positive, even. We'll play our Hotfix. We will play Scourge on this enemy. Mad Science, energy positive, and, of course, gives us some block, which is great. I will play Trash to Treasure over Hotfix. I just want to get all of my powers into play. And then I'm going to Scavenge the Greed, and I can play Defend. That's almost enough block, so I do need to play Compact, and with 11 energy, we can play Strike as well without losing anything. And then, obviously, we just want to keep charging these Dark Orbs, keep getting extra damage off of Rolling Boulder. Now, here I do have all 3 of my good blocking cards bound together, which is pretty rough. So let's go with Zap, we'll go with Hotfix, and I can go Shadow Shield or Glacier. I suppose I'm taking a pretty big hit if I don't play Glacier this turn. So I'm going to play the Glacier here, and then unfortunately I'm still taking quite a bit of damage because we had all of these cards bound together. So let's just use our block potion. Although we are fighting the test subject next, so it's possible I should say I should lose health Because we have Pantograph to gain health back as well. We're going to gain 25 health back. So keeping the block potion for the second stage of the test subject, when it will wound me if it hits me, is, I think, going to be better overall. Our health is both replaceable and less valuable in this fight. So important, that's like an important consideration, just something to keep in mind as well. Here, we're going to start with Overclock. No, I need to play one other card first. So I'll play Sunder. It's energy neutral, I guess, and we can just get it out of the deck. I'm also going to dual cast this Dark Orb, and we'll play Overclock, drawing 3. I did draw Compact to get rid of the burn, which is really nice, and I can scavenge something as well. So let's play... Oh, wait. Oops, I meant to dual cast the Darkness Orb. I forgot that generating a status, because I have Trash to Treasure, would generate another orb, so I gave up some damage there. Definitely a sloppy play. We'll play Compact here, get rid of this burn. I'll just play the Fuel right away and see what we draw into. I'll play Sunder, because it's free, and we get some damage. And then we can play Shadow Shield. I could dual cast the Lightning Orb. I guess it's a little more damage to do that. So I'm going to play dual cast on Lightning Orb. I'm going to play Shadow Shield. And then I will scavenge the Strike, because I don't really want to draw more of those. 40 incoming damage this turn. One thing that we don't have in this deck is any form of weakness, which is a real challenge for the deck. I'll play Hotfix. I'll play this Glacier. And then I can play Shadow Shield, triggering a Dark Orb and getting some more block. And that's going to be the way to go. And then we'll play a Strike. 45 damage, we take 3. And now we're going to go back up to 77, so the Pantograph is going to do its job here. We'll play Impatience here, because I have 3 bound cards. We're going to, of course, play the one that draws cards. And I'll play Overclock. That'll cycle the Dark Orb, that's fine. I can play Hotfix. I can play Dark Shackles, preventing some damage. It's worse to play it than on one of the turns where the enemy is this turn than on one of the turns where the enemy is multi-attacking, of course. But we don't have it on those turns, and we do have it on this turn, so we're going to play it. And then we'll play Sunder. And Rolling Boulder continuing to tick up damage, and then I can play Impatience over Shadow Shield here. We're going to draw 2 cards, and then I'll play Compact on a burn, and we can play a Fuel. I can play this Shadow Shield. I want to cycle a Dark Orb forwards, so that if I can play another orb, we kill the enemy, and I guess I'll scavenge a defend as well. Oh, actually, now it's just lethal with Rolling Boulder. So very easy fight against the Queen. And we're on to the test subject. We've lost 2 total health because we deliberately didn't use our block potion on that fight and instead kept the heal for Pantograph. And now we're going on to the test subject fight. Alright, so this fight, we have Apparition. Now, this enemy, of course, gains strength as you play skills, so you do need to be a little bit careful about how you play it. I could do a Gigantification Potion into a Sunder. I'm going to play... I'll start with Finesse. It does, of course, give it some strength, but we're drawing into better cards, in this case, Subroutine, which is exactly what we wanted. I'll play the Hotfix, even though it gives the enemy strength. I think having Hotfix in play is still going to be good. We'll play Coolant. I'm probably going to use my Gigantification Potion against this stage in order to basically just one-shot it, if possible. And then I'll play Zap. I'll play Shadow Shield. I'll play Turbo. I'll play Apparition, and then we're not taking any damage. And then I guess this is the best use for the potion, so I'm going to do Sunder for 72 here. And then we can kill this first stage of the test subject pretty quickly. Ideally before we take any damage, and maybe even save some apparitions for the second stage, though in this case, that hasn't worked out. let's start with a subroutine. And another one. Cycling through, and then I'm going to play Overclock here. This again gives the enemy strength, but that's alright. I have attacks in hand. I have the 1 strike in hand. So let's start. I'll play a hotfix. I'm going to play... It doesn't matter how much strength the enemy has. I can always Apparition. I'm going to play Scourge, trying to draw a card. I'm going to play Strike, or I could just scavenge the Strike. Scavenging Strike seems fine here. We get rid of it. We get to play Impatience this turn. And then, okay, I have Rolling Boulder, but I have 3 subroutines. So Rolling Boulder is free to play. So we're going to get that into play. And that's exactly what we wanted, was to get that set up during the first stage. Now, drawing both Apparitions means we won't have them for the next stage of the fight. But we can play Hotfix. And I do have Scavenge, so I've got additional energy next turn. I'm going to play 2 Apparitions. And save the rest of my energy. And then here we get 10 damage from Rolling Boulder. I could kill the enemy, but I'm not intangible next turn anyways. So there's a chance I want to let it die on its turn instead. The reasoning for that being that then we get an extra turn of setting up abilities against the next stage of the test subject, and an extra turn of Rolling Boulder ticking up. So that seems pretty good. So let's start with Overclock. I'm playing that before Trash to Treasure because if I evoke an orb here, then we'll kill the enemy, and I want it to die on its turn. And then I'm going to play Capacitor. Drawing a card, generating some energy. I'm going to play Bulk Up, which eats one of these orbs. That's fine. And we'll play the Thunder as well. And I'll play Trash to Treasure. I'm going to play Panache last this turn, because again, I don't want Panache to go off. And I don't want the Panache to go off and kill the enemy. And then I guess I'll play Mad Science. Doesn't really matter what I do. Oh, no, wait. I have Lightning Orbs, so I can't kill it on its turn. So, given that, I kind of forgot about that. I guess I'll play the Glacier here, just to set up some Frost Orbs. And then the enemy will come back on its next turn, but that's okay. Well, I got a little carried away thinking about that option with the, Doom that we had on it, but we're still fine. We obviously could have maybe gotten one more turn of Rolling Boulder if I'd kept the enemy's health higher, if I'd stalled the fight a little longer. Alright, so Dark Shackles is great this turn. Let's start with Hailstorm. We'll see what we draw into. We drew both burns. A little too bad because we, of course, still have Compact in the deck that can get rid of those burns. But let's go with Dark Shackles, preventing a bunch of damage from the enemy this turn, and we'll play Hotfix. And then I'm taking 4, and we're taking 10, and we have 14 blocks, so we're fine. No need to do anything else here. Alright, this turn, I'll start with Finesse, drawing a card. Double Shadow Shield is pretty nice. I can scavenge the Turbo. We're never going to need to play Turbo again. So we'll play Shadow Shield. We'll play Shadow Shield, triggering one of the Dark Orbs. We have 44 incoming damage and 48 blocks, so we're fine here. And we'll scavenge Turbo just to remove that from the deck. And then I'm just going to play a Compact just in case I've done... Oh, and we trigger Panache by playing one more card as well. Mostly I was doing that in case I had done the math wrong, because I wasn't 100% sure I'd counted correctly, and no need to spend mental energy on that when you can just have massive overkill. We'll take Overclock here, and I'm going to play Scourge. I have Impatience, which I can play if I play the Sunder. So we'll play Sunder. And Strike. I need to play both. And now I can play the Impatience. Let's play Hotfix as well. Just make sure I remember to do that before I do everything else. And then I'll play Hotfix. I'll play Zap. This enemy, I would like to kill it on its turn if possible, but It doesn't look like I have that option, so I'm just going to play the Glacier here, which will channel both my Dark Orbs, killing the enemy, and then play a Mad Science. And then Void will go away, and we do still have our block potion for the next stage of the test subject. 33 damage incoming this turn, and the enemy is intangible, so I just need to be aware of that. We'll start with Hotfix here. I'll play the Impatience, and I'll play Overclock, which will cycle the Glass Orb. Maybe I was supposed to play Zap first, actually, because then my Darkness Orb would be further to the left. We'll play Scourge here, and then I'll play Finesse, and then I'll play Zap. I'd like to use Dual Cast on a Darkness Orb, but we can't do that currently. But I have 39 damage or 39 block for 33 incoming damage, and then 6 more block on top of that. So, we just get to pass a turn here. 45 incoming damage. Now, I do get to scavenge one of these burns. Obviously, I wish I could compact the burn instead. But scavenging... Actually, is it better to scavenge Strike? Because the burns I can use with compact. And so they might actually be more valuable than Strike. I guess Strike does hit for 9. So or hit for 12. So I'll scavenge a burn here. I'll play a Hotfix. I'll play a Strike. I'll play a Mad Science. And then 45 incoming damage. We have 21 block. So we'll just use our block potion now. Since it's now getting value and is plus 12 health. Also, I hadn't used Centennial Puzzle up to this turn, which is kind of wild. We'll play Mad Science, and then I'm going to play Overclock, because I'd like to draw more statuses before I play Compact, if I have those. So, you know, always, when you're ordering cards, do your card draw first. Here, I will play Compact. I'll play the Fuel. And then I'm going to play Sunder. I guess it's only 1 damage, so it doesn't matter that much. The card that I'm thinking of right now is Dual Cast, because if I draw into Dual Cast before triggering Dark Orbs, or if I draw into Hotfixes. But when I play Overclock, we're going to trigger this Dark Orb anyways. We drew the Overclock off the Compact card draw, so we couldn't have gotten these burns regardless. But let's play Zap, and we'll play a Shadow Shield, and we'll play a Shadow Shield. And I could play the Glaciers as well. I could have played the 2 Glaciers, actually, and had 2 Frosts, 2 Darkness. Maybe that was better. I guess I'll do 1 damage with the Strike, and then Panache goes off as well. And then this turn, the enemy is not intangible. Now, we have had kind of a rough draw here. All of my block basically was in my last hand. So we'll draw with Impatience. I will play Finesse as well. We'll play some Hotfixes. A lot of Hotfixes. And then I can play Dual Cast on the Frost Orb, which I should, because otherwise I'm taking way too much damage. And I'll play a Defend, and that actually blocks. We're taking 28, 42 damage, so we actually block everything, and we can Scavenge the Greed, so we don't redraw that. Scavenge has been very good in this run, by the way. I've really enjoyed having it. It's not a card that I have had perform extremely well too often, but it's been very, very good here. I'll start with an Overclock, and I'll play a Scourge. I'm playing this first, because there might be some Hotfixes or something that I can trigger before I evoke this Lightning Orb. Although it doesn't matter, because the enemy's intangible anyways. So we'll just play the Overclock. We'll play Finesse. We'll play Sunder to get the Sunder out of my hand so I can play Impatience. Alright, well, 48 incoming damage. So I'm going to give up on this Dark Orb, and we're just going to play a bunch of blocks. And I'm not going to play this Zap, because I'd rather keep the Darkness Orb for next turn. And then it looks like I'll take a little bit of damage here, but that's all right. This turn we do 55 Rolling Boulder damage. Rolling Boulder is just so good. And then I can go double hotfix and dual cast on the Darkness Orb, which is great. And we can play a Defend. 5 more burns in the deck, but you know, Compact is very good in against these burns. And we will play Mad Science. I'll play the Compact as well. Draw a card here. I'm definitely not scavenging Shadow Shield or Glacier. I'm going to play both of them, and I guess we'll play Glacier first. And then Shadow Shield. And then take however much damage we take, which turns out to be 0. And then Rolling Boulder ends the fight. So, pretty easy boss fights there. Our deck was extremely well set up for those. The multiple subroutines and game piece was a pretty incredible combination. Random garbled lines. And we also got to play a 40-card deck, which is kind of fun. You very rarely get to do that. So, taking a look at this deck here, what worked well... The one card that stood out as being pretty weak was Sunder, and I could have, I think, had a cool-headed over the Sunder, which would have been much better. So something to keep in mind for future runs. Basically, every other card in this deck I was very happy to have. And the Scourge we maybe didn't need. I didn't end up upgrading it, so I could have just happily skipped on that one. There were a couple times where the extra Doom mattered, but mostly this was just a bad draw most of the time. Every other card in the deck, I think, was great. So overall, I was very, very happy with how this deck came together. The early bulk up helped a lot. Going for Frost Orbs also was really good. So hopefully that gives you an idea of how to think about playing the Defect. The goal is to get a win condition, whether that be generating lightning orbs, generating frost orbs, something like that, and then use this character's really strong card draw and extra energy generation in order to support that win condition. So in this case, our win condition was Rolling Boulder, but it could have been any form of additional damage, whether that be a storm to make our powers generate lightning orbs, whether it be one of the darknesses that we passed to make our dark orbs stronger. Lots of different options here, but your deck is often going to look something very similar to this in terms of the roles that the different cards fill. All right, my friends, hope that you enjoyed that run, and of course, if you have, then feel free to leave a comment and hit like. Helps me out with the algorithm, so I appreciate you taking the time to do that. And of course, you can subscribe to my channel for more Slay the Spire 2 and other strategy game analysis. Cheers, folks. I'll catch you next time.